Welcome to medieval history. If you're here, you probably have some curiosity about one of the most fascinating and misunderstood periods in human history, the Middle Ages, or as some call it, the medieval period. When you hear Middle Ages, what comes to mind? Is it knights in shining armor? Grim, dark castles? Or maybe plague, superstition, and a general sense of, well, darkness? It's true, the Middle Ages had all of that. But it was also a period of incredible innovation, profound philosophy, stunning art, and the birth of many of the institutions we take for granted today. It was anything but a dark void between two glorious eras. So, let's get down to basics. What exactly were the Middle Ages? Broadly, historians define the Middle Ages as the period in European history spanning from the 5th century to the 15th century. That's roughly from the year 500 AD to 1500 AD. That's 1,000 years. Imagine trying to sum up everything that happened in the last 1,000 years in a single phrase. It's impossible, right? And that's why the Middle Ages are so complex and diverse. This era is sandwiched between classical antiquity, think the Roman Empire, and the early modern period, leading into the Renaissance and the Age of Exploration. And while we primarily focus on Europe when we talk about the Middle Ages, it's important to remember that incredible civilizations were flourishing all over the world during this time, from the Islamic Golden Age to the Song dynasty in China, and powerful empires in Africa and the Americas. For today, though, we'll keep our focus on Europe. The traditional start date for the Middle Ages is often pegged to 476 AD, the year the last Western Roman emperor, Romulus Augustulus, was deposed. Now, Rome didn't just vanish overnight. It was a long, slow decline. But this event symbolized a profound shift. The vast, centralized Roman Empire fractured into smaller kingdoms. Trade networks broke down, cities shrank, and literacy declined in many areas. It was a period of fragmentation and instability. This is what some early historians, perhaps a little dramatically, dubbed the Dark Ages, a term we really don't use much anymore, especially for the entire period, because it undervalues the rich developments that were happening. New peoples, often called barbarians by the Romans, Goths, Vandals, Franks, Saxons, established their own kingdoms across Europe. These groups, who had once been on the fringes, now inherited the ruins of the Roman world, blending their own cultures and traditions with what remained of Roman law and administration. This fusion laid the groundwork for the modern nations of Europe. Two defining pillars of the European Middle Ages were feudalism and the Christian Church. With central authority weakened after Rome's fall, a new social and political system emerged, feudalism. It was a hierarchical system where land was exchanged for service and loyalty. Kings granted land, or fiefs, to powerful nobles, who in turn swore allegiance and provided military support, usually in the form of knights. These nobles then had peasants, or serfs, who worked their land in exchange for protection. It was a highly localized, decentralized system where power was fragmented and allegiance was personal. Then there was the Church. In a fragmented world, the Christian Church emerged as the dominant unifying force across Western Europe. It wasn't just a spiritual guide. It was a powerful political, economic, and social institution. Bishops and abbots were often as powerful as lords, sometimes even more so. Monasteries became centers of learning, preserving ancient texts and fostering education when few other institutions could. The Church influenced everything, from daily life and law to art, philosophy, and warfare, like the Crusades. While the early centuries were characterized by rebuilding, by the High Middle Ages, roughly from the 11th to the 13th centuries, Europe was experiencing a rebirth. This was a period of significant population growth, agricultural innovation, and the rise of towns and cities. New farming techniques, like the heavy plough and the three-field system, led to greater food production, which in turn supported a larger population. Trade routes reopened and expanded, fueling the growth of merchant classes and vibrant urban centres. This era also saw a flowering of intellectual and artistic achievement. The first universities were founded, fostering new ideas in philosophy, theology, and law. Grand Gothic cathedrals, towering toward the heavens, were constructed, showcasing incredible engineering and artistic skill. It was also the age of epic literature, like Beowulf and the Canterbury Tales, and the refinement of the chivalric ideal of knighthood. But no period is without its challenges. The late Middle Ages, from the 14th to the 15th centuries, was a time of immense crisis and upheaval. The most devastating was the Black Death, a plague that swept across Europe in the mid-14th century, wiping out an estimated 30 to 50% of the population. Imagine half the people you know just gone. This catastrophe had profound social and economic consequences, drastically altering labour markets and even challenging the authority of the Church. This period also saw major conflicts like the 100 Years' War between England and France, which reshaped political landscapes and introduced new military technologies, like the longbow and early gunpowder weapons. Despite these immense challenges, the late Middle Ages were also a period of adaptation and significant transition. New political structures emerged, nations began to solidify, and technologies like the printing press revolutionized communication. The seeds of the Renaissance were being sown. So, why should we care about this 1,000-year stretch of history? Because the Middle Ages weren't just a middle period. They were the crucible in which modern Europe was forged. Our legal systems, our parliaments, our universities, our national identities, even many of our towns and cities, have roots firmly planted in the medieval era. The ideas of individual rights, the foundations of scientific inquiry, and the power of art and storytelling all saw crucial development during this time. It was a dynamic, complex, and utterly vital period that shaped the world we live in today. I hope this video has given you a clearer picture of what the Middle Ages truly encompassed. It's a vast subject, and this is just the very tip of the iceberg. There's so much more to explore, from the daily lives of peasants to the grand sagas of kings and queens, the intricacies of medieval warfare, and the stunning beauty of its art. If you enjoyed this introduction, please hit that like button and subscribe to Medieval History for more content every week. Let us know in the comments below. What's your favorite part of medieval history, or what topic would you like us to cover next? Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.